Hello, everyone, and welcome to our live again today. I am your host, Michelle O'Connor, business advisor to medical private practice owners, and I help you with all things business so you can reduce your stress, reduce the work you do on the business side of your practice, and focus your expertise on serving your patients. Now, if you hear me sound a little groggy today, I've not been well, but I decided not to put off this discussion so we can share with you some strategies. We were talking about burnout last week, and we're continuing that conversation from a different perspective. Last week we talked about strategies and some of the things that we would need to do as a business person, as a CEO of a practice. This week we're going to be coming from a more introspective place. And so we have someone with us who that is her job, where she is the person who help overcoming, empowering high achievers to overcome any kind of internal, subconscious, and external barriers that tend to impact your growth. And when I talk to medical practitioners and they're talking about feeling burnt out, sometimes you share some strategies and they're not really accepted in the moment. And so I think this conversation is good because sometimes we get to kind of understand why is it that we're not accepting, and what is it that we're holding on to that we're not even aware that we're holding on to. And I'm sure I'm also going to be helped. So I'm going to bring on stage our guest today, Hala. Thank you so much for joining.
Hi, good morning, Michelle. Good morning, everyone.
And thank you for being here. So we're talking all about burnt out. Talk to us a little bit about what you do and what got you started.
Yes, absolutely. Well, thank you for having me. I'm excited to talk more about all the things leading to burnout and give a little more insight as to why this cycle happens and why do mostly high achievers, people who put so much pressure, we put so much pressure on us to achieve, to attain, why do we often find ourselves falling in that same cycle over and over? So I'll start by saying that a little bit about what I do. I'm a transformational coach and a business strategist. I specialize in working with high achievers, VPs, executives, leaders, CEOs, business owners, to equip them with emotional intelligence skills that help catapult them into their next level of success, of impact, and income, all without burnout. What we do together basically is we navigate through that journey to dismantle all the internal, the subconscious barriers that usually hold them back, hold people back from confidently embodying the role of the visionary leader, the role of the CEO of their life. So when
And
that happens,
can I ask you one question, Hala? Is there any reason why you chose executives?
I don't know why, but I'll tell you, because one is, it's not just the executive, it's the high achiever, the high performer. Because one is, I am that person. So I've had that same story and cycle for quite some
Okay.
time until I uncovered what's underneath this and what's causing this cycle for me. And it just happens that my circle, my community is also a lot of high achievers. So we end up talking about this, which actually made me see the link that, okay, it's not just me, it's a lot of people. And the more I started working with, people in high pressure jobs, let's just say, the
Yeah.
more I realize how common it is. Yeah.
Okay, great. And what has been, sorry, what has been some of the things that you have found out while you're working with high achievers?
Well, we a lot of times is there are goals that we're striving to work towards goals. And that's all great. We have goals, we have a vision we want to attain. But what happens often is that we become single focused on achieving these goals. So sometimes there are signs like red flags here and there that tells us, hey, be careful, slow down, watch out. And what we do, because we have such a strong drive, is we push everything aside, we downplay the emotions we're having. Okay, it's not the time to do this. This is my goal today. This is what I'm focused on. So when that happens, it creates a buildup. It creates a buildup, a subconscious that starts surfacing to the conscious level, that starts surfacing to our everyday life, and it shows up differently for everyone. To some people it's procrastination, to some people it's overwhelm, brain fog, overthinking, so many different symptoms of what's underneath the burnout. Because when we don't, yes.
Oh no, because I was going to ask, when you said we either ignore or downplay the symptoms, if it's happening subconsciously, how do we know that we're doing it?
Mm. It's happening. We don't know that it's happening because of a belief or a barrier that we have, but we feel the symptoms. So there are things like I can talk more a little bit about some emotional symptoms we have, some interpersonal, some physical pain, even sometimes like insomnia, headaches. These are all symptoms telling us, hey, look, there's something here. And when we don't look in to see, okay, what is this caused by? What can I do to shift what's going on in my life?
Mhm.
Then we start the road to healing, to change, to shifting, and really attaining. The whole point of this is what? To remove the barriers so we can attain our goals with more ease, so we can actually reach our full potential and embody the person that we're born to be.
So we have I'm sure we have other persons who are not in the medical field, but most of the persons who will either be joining or on live, and if you're on live, go ahead and drop it in the chat. Sometimes we don't see everyone on screen, but let
Yeah,
us know where you're joining from. Today we're talking about whether or not we're subconsciously causing burnout. We're continuing a conversation we had last week. So go ahead, drop in the chat where you're joining from, what's the name of your practice. But I wanted you to touch on, we're talking to CEO of medical practices. They're working every day,
mhm.
they're seeing patients every day, they're running their business, they have family life. What are some of the specific symptoms that they could be ignoring that is really causing that burnout? I know when we spoke last week, you had like some data in terms of doctors who are committing suicide, persons who are feeling burnt out. And I myself did some reading and
Yeah,
realized that this is something that's real. But what are some of the specific things that they can look out for that can
yes.
say, hey, that's a symptom, pay attention?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, burnout presents itself differently for every person, but common symptoms, if we're talking emotional symptoms, they're feeling drained, they're feeling depleted, like they're running on empty, they're feeling maybe easily irritable, they're impatient, they are losing motivation to come to work and really be enthusiastic every day in their role, in their practice. They have maybe feelings of unfulfilledness. They feel empty, and they keep on getting overwhelmed by the smallest tasks that they've done before very easily. So this is on the emotional level. They could be feeling one and or more of these symptoms. And I just want to say here that it's very normal for us individuals, humans, high performers to experience one or two of these symptoms. However, when they start impeding on our life, when they start affecting how we behave, how we act, and we feel like they're creating resistance, This is a sign for us to look deeper within, however, with an eye of compassion, because it's not something that we know it's happening. So when we look into it with curiosity, with compassion, and really get curious to what is behind it, then we can start seeing the trends, seeing the barriers, and also seeing the triggers, because that's all about the triggers and what's causing the triggers.
All right, so let's
So,
talk a little bit about the trigger.
mm,
The symptom could be you're tired. The simplest thing could be affecting you. You probably don't want to go into the, because we know you feel tired, but because you're a high achiever, because those are the person that we are. We're taught to go, move past the stress. Move past it, keep going. We've
yeah.
identified that something is off, and probably that's always tired. How can we identify a trigger? Because I'm working to pay the bills and to take care of my family. Let's talk about
Mm.
triggers.
The triggers, it's a little more like it's a lot about listening to yourself. It's about understanding how you usually act when you are in a state of flow, understanding your own needs, understanding when something is off, and that takes pause. So, the first thing I would say is to pause and really take stock of how you are today and how you're behaving. Are you having difficulties connecting to people? Are you, lashing out at the people you love? So start identifying the behaviors you don't like, the behaviors that are not like you usually. That's the first step. But underneath that, the deeper reasons are within us. There are beliefs. So the beliefs we've carried for years, probably since childhood, beliefs about what it takes to be successful. How many of us since a young age were bombarded with messages about what it takes to succeed, messages like success requires hard work and sacrifice, or nothing comes easy. As we hear this statement over and over and over, this becomes a belief ingrained in our subconscious. So we expect ourselves to work hard. We expect ourselves to struggle, to sacrifice time with loved one, time with friends in order to grow your practice, in order to build a team, in order to make more impact. That's where this is where the work that we do happens on shifting those deeply sunk beliefs and realizing which one are not useful to the practitioner anymore, which one are not useful, and shifting them to adopt a more positive beliefs that help them make more impact.
And I wanted to say something on that.
Yeah.
Sometimes we say things, and as we would, say at times, it's easier said than done. I am working to pay the bills. I am working to keep my business afloat. I want to make an impact. And what you're telling
Mhm.
me to do is pause. How can
Yeah.
I pause? And who am I having that conversation with at that time? Is it that I need somebody that I'm talking to? What does that pause looks like?
Yeah. So if you have, I have some visuals I can use to show that sometimes yeah. So the first one that just says the actions only. So this is the whole iceberg that shows basically our emotions and our belief system underneath the behaviors that we see and underneath the results that we get. So if we're looking just at the surface, you have the behavior and the actions. This is something we're all aware of. We are aware of when we play small. We're aware of that when we are not maintaining our boundaries, when we're overworking. We're aware of procrastination. And this is what's causing the top result: the insomnia, the hopelessness, the frustration, the disengagement. Oftentimes, a lot of us only work on this part. So we say to ourselves, I need to work less. I'm
Like
gonna
when you say this part, we work on the results, right? That's what you're
um,
saying.
we work on the behaviors and actions because we want to change the
That's the
results.
overthinking, the playing small, lack of boundaries, overworking, procrastination, isolation.
Exactly. So we work on the behaviors and actions. Say, okay, I want to work. I'm just going to promise myself I'm not going to do any email or any work on the weekend. So we
Yeah,
focus on the behavior. We do it for one weekend. The second one, we're like, okay, I'm just going to like take, respond to a few emails. And then with time, we're sliding and we can't keep up with the promises and the commitments we made to ourselves. That's because we're focusing only on the conscious behaviors and actions that impact the results. Unknowingly, if you see in the iceberg, all the bottom part are the subconscious drivers. The subconscious drivers first are the emotions and thoughts underneath the surface, which are could be for them feeling drained, anxiety, overwhelm, loss of motivation, fear-based thoughts. I'm like they can't make a decision real quick, so they procrastinate. So they might have an inclination to what's going on a little bit. They might tell you as they're working with you, Michelle, they might say, I've been procrastinating a lot lately. You might hear that. I hear
right.
that often. But what's underneath that is the beliefs and values that are causing you to procrastinate. I want to refer to a term here that's been very recent, and it's called misalignment burnout.
Mm,
That's what we're talking about, the misalignment. When our conscious mind wants to reach a certain goal, but our
right.
emotions underneath, like they just want something completely different. On the surface, you could be saying, I want to grow my practice. I want to have 5 employees by the end of this quarter. I want to reach $1 million in profits. I wanted, like, these are my goals. Subconsciously, your emotions and your needs are, you only need a break. I just need a break right now. I
And
just need to pause.
how do you suggest knowing this? So persons are looking at this, they're like, okay, I can relate to the burnout, I can relate to the insomnia. All
Yeah.
right, this could be because I'm overthinking, I'm procrastinating, or
Yes.
no, the way around, I'm overthinking, it leads to these results. In a world where, I was listening to a podcast, and one of the things that the person was saying is successful people don't sleep for 7 hours, they sleep for less. So in a world where we're being told to go, 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 you have to push, you have to work hard, if you're sleeping,
Mm.
you're lazy. How can persons kind of balance that as they are trying to grow? Because I can tell you, one of the things in working with private practice owners, it's
Mm.
I'm trying to get them to understand if they're able to implement certain strategies, then they don't need to be in that go, go, go zone.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can work 4 days for the week and make the same profit that you're making working 7 days with strategies. But how do you really combat the noise and what you're getting from outside?
Well, really, our society glorifies hustle, and it might work for that person to sleep 5 hours. But how we know if it's not working for you, if you find yourself constantly not being the person you want to be, that's the first sign. And really, to get back on being yourself, there are three main things that you can do until you work with someone and help you identify some of those beliefs underneath. But the first thing I would say is get clear on your vision. Get clear on what success means to you. What is it to you that's meaningful success? How does it look like? Does it look like you working 7 hours, or does it look like you working maybe 4 days, 4 days a week, having a team that is engaged, that know what they're doing? So really get clarity on your vision of success
Yeah,
and why you want it. Why?
I'm,
That why is so important.
I'm happy you touched that, because one of the things that I normally do when I'm working with persons, the first thing I want to know is what your vision is. Tell me
Yeah.
what your vision is, because I'm going to hold you high in that vision. So when you are making suggestions about things that you want, I'm like, okay, remember, this is the vision. This is what we're working towards, because you are correct. If your vision, and that's the misalignment piece that you mentioned, because
Mm-hmm.
one of the things that I normally share with persons is, and I did this on the live last week, whenever you realize that there is some kind of struggle in the work that you're doing, go back to your vision. I
Mm-hmm.
guarantee you that most of the time, what you're doing and how you're showing up is not in alignment with the vision that you've set for yourself. And so, if it is that you created a vision for you, you looked within, and let me just pause this for a second. If it is that you looked within, because that when you're doing your vision, I encourage persons, there is a whole strategy around that. It's not just creating a vision board with pictures. Um,
Yes.
you looked within and you created that vision. This is you. You are going to be bombarded with noise from outside that may want you to change. But if your vision for your practice doesn't see you working 12 hours every day, and you are working 12 hours every day, this is what Hala is saying. Pause and realize what is causing that. What
Mm-hmm.
have I driven, shifted from my vision? And what internal beliefs do I have about myself, where I believe I need to be working hard all the time? And I shared this story on my LinkedIn profile about my mom, in that, she had 3, 4 jobs all the time, and it never seemed to be enough. So my role is to really help you to think about how you are showing up, how you're doing things. It's not about doing more, but it's about being strategic with what you're doing. And so I wanted to just highlight that point about the vision. It's very, very important. When
Yeah.
you're moving your vision, it's a whole different thing. And sometimes we may feel like, oh my God, if I don't, the other persons I see, and who are successful, they've been working for six days for the week. How can I come in and say I'm working? Maybe you working 4 days. Maybe you don't need the things that they need. So it's really creating that vision for yourself and identifying, as you said, what does success mean?
100%. You're so right because
Highlight a few other comments that we have, because we do have persons who are on.
oh,
The
awesome.
noise for me inside is inside and not outside. This is what
Mm,
someone is saying. Going down the rabbit hole on the internet. Let's talk about that.
yes.
Going down the rabbit hole on the internet, forgetting why I'd opened the computer to do, because I
Yeah.
saw something, with all the ads and the SEOs and everything that's there. The minute you open, it's like, oh, you went on this app and you looked at something. Let's continue to talk about that. So that is something that is also challenging. But the noise on the inside, do you have more on your slides that you want to touch on? That adjust?
100%. Yes, 100%. There's another slide underneath that shows, but this like going on the internet and forgetting ourselves, and then 2 hours later, you're like, oh my gosh, what was I doing here? This is a form of avoidance. This is a coping mechanism that we realize basically gives us that instant gratification. So we stay there in order to avoid going to the deeper decision that we need to do, or the tackle the bigger things that we need to do. It's a form of subconscious, you're not doing it consciously, it's a form of unconscious avoidance in order not to go and tackle the things that might be outside of your comfort zone, not to tackle the things that are going to push you a little bit further. So a lot of people, this is very common, so just know that you're not alone. It's very common, but you realizing this is great because you're aware of it. So
Yeah.
now it becomes, how do you make sure you don't do it anymore? How do you make sure, what can you do in your routine, what so it holds you back from staying more than 5 minutes? You can look into, you can look at how being there for 2 hours or an hour or going down that rabbit hole, how is it affecting your life? How is it taking time from your days? If you gain that time back, what can you do with this time? So
Yeah. And
you
then
can reason.
one of the other things too is make time for leisure. And even if that leisure is, oh, let me go on the internet and see what's happening, make time for it. Could be
Mm.
10 minutes for the day, so that you don't feel guilty about going online. So if you make the time, 10 minutes, I'm just going to be scrolling. But whenever, as you said, you go on, and it happens to us, you go to read a message and then you saw something else and you're like, oh my God, this has been 15, 20 minutes. So it happens to all of us. But so you spoke about burnout. You wanted to talk anything on this slide that we have up here? You want me to go to the next one?
The next one, please. But I do want to actually, the person that said that they are usually going down that rabbit hole, one thing
Yeah.
you can do is like get curious. What is the feeling you are having when you actually go on the internet? Is it a feeling of overwhelm? Are you overwhelmed? Are you trying to make a decision? Are you feeling anxious? What is the emotion that you are having that actually makes you go there? Realize when you are in what triggered you, first of all, to be in this overwhelm. That curiosity is going to help you dive deeper. Like this image shows, dive deeper into the beliefs that are at the bottom, driving the emotions and the thoughts on top. So
And these
here,
beliefs are, just for the viewers, I need to succeed to prove myself.
yeah,
Making money is hard. Success is paved through hardship. We've
mm,
heard it so often. Most of the persons who will probably, a lot of persons who share their stories, it starts from hardship. It was rough. That's what we hear. So therefore, we're like, okay, I am paying the price. Nothing good ever comes easy, and success requires sacrifice. So these
yeah.
are the beliefs and values that Hala is talking about.
Yes, these are all beliefs that you probably heard growing up. One thing you can do is challenge those beliefs. Once you realize, I'm in this overwhelm. What was I doing? What caused my overwhelm? Oh, well, they asked me to take an extra project, or there's something that's demanding more of you. You cannot make a decision. This is when you pause and became in this state of procrastination, overwhelm. What you can do is identify the belief underneath that emotion and question it. Let's say the belief that came up for you is nothing good ever comes easy. Question that. Is that really true for you? Question if this belief doesn't serve you. Can you think of a good thing that came to you with very little effort? I'm sure you can. A lot of us can. So try to recall a few examples of some good things that came to you with ease, with very little effort, to debunk that belief and rewire your thoughts and ingrain another belief that no, some good things come with ease. Actually, when I am in alignment, when I'm in a flow state, things come to me easily. So repeat this to yourself. Repeat it as affirmation, as words, as write it in front of you in your office. You want to create a new neural path in your mind that proves the other belief wrong.
I
And
really
the
like this, and we're going to be dropping these images
yeah,
in the chat. Um, I wanted to highlight something you just said, which is to question, and that requires us. Thank you, Dr. Simi. So she has patience waiting. She'll talk soon, but I know she'll probably watch the replay. Um, about questioning the belief. So if we're
mm,
sorry, nothing good comes easy, and you're suggesting that we question that. Think
yeah,
about something good that we have. Is it that we're saying absolutely nothing in our life that's good comes easy? When we're able to question it, a lot of times you realize that when you're in alignment, things do come easily to you. And I just want our viewers to, and guys, if you're just joining, I'm having a little
yeah,
through
yeah.
for that. But we know that there are different seasons in your life and your business. So therefore, we're not saying that this is you 24. Well, I'm asking, are you saying this is us 24 hours? every single day, because there might be a season you may be in a growth phase of your practice, you're implementing something, and maybe for a few weeks or for a particular period, it's requiring that you give a little bit more. What we're talking about is a consistent feeling and a consistent experience of burnout, and how it is that you can identify it. And Francine is saying definitely avoidance drives her to scrolling through the media. And while you were saying it, I was nodding, because you're working on something and you probably are feeling frustrated for whatever reason, or you have something to do that maybe that's uncomfortable. I made
Mhm.
this post once where I said, eat your frog first thing in the morning, which is do your most difficult task first thing so you can get it out. Whenever you have something uncomfortable to do, it's all right, let me avoid this thing and go on social media. So Francine, I can completely relate. And I think that's what Hala is also saying, that we do go somewhere else. So now that we've touched on the values, let's talk
Yeah.
about emotions and the thoughts.
Yeah, absolutely. So the emotions and the thoughts, they stem from the values. They are that bucket of subconscious drivers that sometimes we know of, sometimes we don't. We might
Right.
know what emotions we're feeling, but maybe we never took time to reflect on why we are feeling this way. This is where that is. And to be more attuned with our emotions, I want our viewers to think of the emotional dashboard similar to your car dashboard. While you are driving, you see a light flashing. And what is that? It's a sign for you to look into it, to realize it's the gas or it's the oil, and you stop and fill gas or you change your oil. Very similarly, your emotions are work in the same way. When you're feeling something, it's a vital indicator asking you to look into it. There's something that needs your attention. So
Right.
don't ignore your emotions, and don't downplay their importance.
And your
Ask.
emotions and your thoughts.
Mm,
Negative inner dialogue. Will I fail? I'm not good enough. No one likes me. I don't think I have what it takes.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So let's say you are feeling, we can take an example. Let's say you're feeling resentful. You did something amazing. You submitted something like your practice won an award, and someone you know just didn't say anything. You felt resentful because your efforts, your award went unnoticed. So, what can you do is really get curious and say, why did I feel resentful? Because this person or that practice did not acknowledge or validate this award. Why do I feel this? What triggers are underneath that feeling of resentfulness? Why is it that I get frustrated when, for example, someone gives me feedback I don't like? Why is it that I get frustrated from maybe my team when they're not working as efficiently as I want them
Right.
to? Yes. So lean into these emotions to explore the inner struggles. That's what's going to tell you if there's any inner struggles and what is it about. That's how you're going to gain valuable insights on what emotional needs do you have.
Yeah. And I'm loving this conversation, because
Yeah.
it it goes more than just the thing, which is at the surface level, which we know. You know,
Yes.
in I'm having a headache every day, or go to is let me take something for the headache. But when you look internally, which is what we're having a conversation about, it's when you go deeper, you're able to find out what the symptom is, what the triggers are, and you can address them accordingly. And we're not robots,
Mm,
so we probably don't get it right 100% of the time, but if we really, and I've learned this as well, when we're able to address what our belief systems are, that goes a very far way. You know, your belief system drives just about everything that you do. So therefore, if you believe that you're telling you, I need to work, or yes, this is it's always going to be a sacrificial exercise for my practice, then that is something that would need to be addressed. And that is why persons like Hala is our own, because, and one of the things I am working on is just building that community of persons where I can refer my private practice CEOs to, because I'm not able to solve everything. And being able to identify what the true what if there's an underlying issue is also very, very important.
Yeah, and I'll piggyback on that, Michelle. You said something. Is it going to be always a sacrificial a practice? Is it, am I always going to do this? Maybe that's the question they're having, and they're thinking the thought that's caused by this questioning is, I can't do this for the next 20 years. I can't. Something has to change. That's on the inside, but on the outside, they're waking up every day, they're going to their practice, they're talking to the team. So there's an internal struggle right there. And if they, as doctors, medical practitioners, if they keep on ignoring it, it's going to cause more anxiety, more overwhelm, more burnout.
Yeah.
Until they tap within and really look to see, why is there an internal struggle? What is it that I want? How can I, that's the other thing, how can I grow my practice in a way that feels aligned?
Yeah.
Right, yeah. Right now, society wants to tell us that you have to be everywhere on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on Instagram. You have to do podcast interviews. You have to.
That's a whole nother life, because I
Yeah.
say to persons, listen, a lot of them, a lot of person want to have conversations about marketing. And as you rightfully say,
Mm,
we're being pulled in different places. And I often say to persons, what feels natural for you?
yes.
When you think about how you want to show up, if you don't want to do this, what we're doing, that's perfectly fine. It doesn't mean that your business isn't growing. It doesn't mean that there are not other ways. You have patients who are walking through the door, collect their information, send them a newsletter every week, ask them for a referral, do in-person events if you like talking to person face to face. There are many different ways to do it. But I think when we allow ourselves to get the help that we need,
Yeah.
that also is very important. And sometimes it's a belief system as well, why we don't want to get the help and we don't want to put ourselves out there. But
Yes. 100%. What is the easiest path for you as a doctor, as a practice owner? What is the easiest path for you to grow your practice?
yeah,
See what comes up. Listen to these thoughts coming up. When you ask yourself the right question, you're going to get the different kind of answers. So instead of saying, I cannot do this, well, I can, I will, but what can I do to make it easy? How
yeah.
can I grow with ease? Yes.
I have I met this lady last year and we've become friends. I'm actually reading a book of hers now about reimagine. And one of the things she did for her life was
Mm,
she realized she took some time at a very young age to find out what her values were. And one of them was ease. And I think
mm,
there's like three, but ease is one thing that comes to mind. And at
yes.
35, deciding that she wanted to grow with ease and making some uncomfortable, what she thought was unpopular decisions about her life, um, has turned her into a multimillionaire at 35 because she made that decision from a values perspective. So
Mm,
whenever we are making decisions from our value, there are persons out there who are doing the same thing. It's just that it's not glorified in the spaces where we are presently. And if I can share, because it's in her book, one of them was she didn't want to have kids. And that was simply because she grew up taking care of her mother who was disabled.
yeah.
And as such, she wanted time to just take care of her and she wanted life with ease. So she wants to be a rich auntie. She wants to be able to give back. She loves reading. She goes around and sets up reading books free of cost in different communities. But because life is with ease, if she's starting a company, she's not thinking she's a CEO. She's
Yeah.
thinking that I'm hiring a CEO. I am just giving the knowledge. And so
Right.
really it's proven
Yeah.
that when you are able to make your decisions from a values perspective, life is completely different.
Oh
So
my gosh.
we've been talking for almost 40 minutes.
Yes.
else you want to share with persons before we go, before we close?
Yeah, well, I talked a little bit about, we talked about this ease. You shared this example about ease. I actually want to tell them that they can ask themselves, what does ease look like in their practice? What does ease look like for them in their personal life? What does ease look like in their career? Get curious and really envision that success that you're going to reach with so much ease. Envision it and anchor that vision of success, because that is going to act like a North Star as you're going on to grow your practice, to do all the things that light you up. That is the direction, that is the end goal that you want to reach. So keep that anchored. And to do that, I usually like to do a visualization that works on the subconscious to really anchor that vision of success. So I can plug it in, if you don't mind, in the chat, so they can just play it when they have time. Like set some time aside, uninterrupted. It's 7 minutes. It takes them really to think of their vision of success. What is it that they want for themselves, and anchor it so they can create their path to success.
Thank you so much, Hala. Go ahead and drop it in the chat. Thank you, Lawrence. Lawrence is saying, get out of your comfort zone and learn to embrace discomfort. And
Yeah.
discomfort sometimes is where we sometimes are able to connect with ourselves and the things that we really want and we really value.
Yeah.
And that comfort zone, sometime of mediocrity, is driven by some of the beliefs that we're taking on from other people. Yeah.
Yes.
So we're going to be dropping the Google slides so you can look back at the visuals. But thank you so much for coming on and for sharing. This has really been a very good conversation. And I hope for persons who are watching the replay, we know life is happening. And as I said before, we are not robots. But what it takes is sometimes to have somebody who you can talk with, have tools that you can also use to really identify what it is that you want. I mean, Lawrence and I had a conversation the other day that was really, really good. We need to have more because it's really about he created the life he wanted and
Mm,
living with ease in doing so and living that abundant life. And, we're encouraging you to do it. We know you give a lot when you're a medical practitioner, you're giving to others. And so,
yes.
thank you so much for coming on. Really appreciate the conversation.
Yeah, thank you for having me and allowing me to share all this, insights and knowledge. Like the goal is really to help more people
Yeah.
live in alignment, more people really embody their best self and go on to live and make their mission come true.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for that, and thank you for having me, Michelle.
You're welcome. And you can go ahead and drop the information in the chat. So thank you guys again for coming on. I do hope that you found some value in this conversation. And just want to remind you that in the Success Club, we do have a few things that are happening. We have our event coming up in Jamaica on May 11th. I hope you're able to grab your tickets and to be there. It's a Profitable Private Practice Masterclass where we're going to be talking to you about some of the strategies. So we talk about burnout, we talk about that insomnia, we talk about procrastination. You can have tools that can help you to limit, reduce while you're reaching out to somebody like Hala that's talking to you about the belief side of things. What can you implement in your practice now that is going to help you to improve your systems, that is going to help you to make more money by doing less? And it sounds cliche because, as Hala shared earlier, in society, we are not taught that. We're taught about doing more. So we want you to get clarity on your numbers. We want you to understand what your numbers are saying. If you want to make $500,000, what does that mean? And is that a target for you, or was it set by somebody else? How do you understand your financials? So you're running a private practice, you're getting your financials. A lot of us do it to file our taxes, but really, what does it mean? How much am I spending on everything? What systems do I need? What marketing do I need to put in? And how do I build a team that is around helping me to achieve those goals? So we're going to be talking about that at our conference in Jamaica on the 11th of May. I'm going to be dropping the link in the chat. So go ahead and check it out. I'm encouraging persons to come with their business managers, because we don't want you to leave and go back thinking you need to do everything on your own. We want you to leave and go back thinking, I'm going to be working this out with my office manager. So go ahead and register. And thank you again for coming on. Join us again next week. We go live every week, whether we're talking about strategy or we're bringing somebody on who can help you to just increase your living, your life. How are you living and how are you showing up? So thanks again for coming on. If you're watching the replay, go ahead and drop replay in the chat. We're going to drop the tools so you can get access to them on the different channels. Thanks again, guys, and do have a wonderful day.